What's poppin', y'all? It's Ben Esquire and I'm back. This episode is called Crabs in a Barrel, and it's best described by the saying, if I can't have it, neither can you. And it originated from describing the way crabs maneuver when they're inside of a barrel or inside of a bucket. So, for example, one crab is trying to get out and its efforts are constantly undermined by other crabs, leading to all of their demises, and specifically the crab that was trying to get out. So, if I can't get out, neither can you. The analogy in human behavior is trying to rip or shred the self-confidence of another just because they're more successful than you or achieving success before you. It comes out in the form of spite, resentment, jealousy, envy, and all of the like.
This is Ghetto.
My issue with this discussion is everyone is talking about the behavior of crabs once they're in the barrel, but people should be asking, why are these crabs even in a barrel? And so in this video, I hope to break down the several reasons why this mentality kind of starts and the way that we can prevent it, because at the end of the day, we're trying to see everybody win. Everybody can be crying in the phantom. So what prompts this mentality? The first, in my opinion, is race in America. A lot of minorities have been taught that there aren't really positions for more than one within their race or gender to be successful. And so it causes you, when you see another person being successful, to want to take their spot specifically instead of a spot within that industry. It results in very targeted behavior in minorities going after each other instead of all of us trying to participate in the same field. But can you blame them specifically? I mean, think about the dynamics of some of your classrooms. You likely see very few minority students that were able to even be placed in the school or get into the school because of the lack of opportunities that minorities have.
It's sad.
So can you blame people for kind of wanting to take that one spot? Or even think about growing up, the number of minority teachers you had.
13 my 50, goddamn.
I didn't have a single minority teacher until college. That's kind of crazy to think about. And so when you see these things, you can't blame minorities for kind of being like, oh, I want that person's spot because there aren't other spots for me. And so now we're in this kind of time in America where race and opportunities are changing and minorities are seeing a lot more opportunities. And with that, our mentality should change. So instead of saying, I want that person's spot, we can say, oh, I want a spot in the same industry. Oh, we can all have spots. Or we can all be bad bitches on the board. You know what I mean? Yeah. The second is societal pressures. Society puts a lot of pressure on us to be a certain thing, do a certain thing, and it can kind of result at us attacking others. So if they aren't doing something the way we've been taught, or we aren't doing something the way they've been taught, we get really judgy and we alienate people. But that's not based off of our own intentions. Sometimes it's based on what society is teaching us is correct, what society is teaching us that we should be doing. And so we're just taking all of that in and lashing it all out, which again, can't really be our fault, but we can prevent it and notice it when we are doing it. And a lot of these societal pressures are influenced by our third aspect, social media. Social media has so many positives, but it also has a lot of negatives. But first, I do want to talk about the positives, and I'm going to read them directly from a blog that I'm going to write. And you guys know I do this every week. I reference my blog so that you read it. So read it. But anyway, here are some of the positive aspects of social media. You can communicate and stay up to date with family and friends around the world. You can find new friends and communities. I think about that all the time. It kind of makes me nervous to date because I can make one mistake and with the click of a button, he could be talking to somebody in Dubai. And she could just have a bag. She could be better than me. But anyways, that's a whole other conversation. Anyways, we're back to the positives. Find new friends and communities. Network with other people who share similar interests or ambitions. Join or promote worthwhile causes. Raise awareness for important issues. We kind of saw this with the BLM movement. A lot of the traction kind of picked up off of social media and groups banding together and us being like, oh wow, look at what black people are going through in America. I want to be a part of helping that. I want to see where the protests are. A lot of the protest locations were coordinated through social media, and not even protests, some of the social gatherings in ways that we fellowshipped with each other during these times. It can also be an outlet for your creativity and self-expression. I know a lot of creators are watching this like all she does is talk about monetization. But yes, I do also agree with the fact that we should be creating just to create. And that's really important. And we can do that on Instagram and several other social media platforms like TikTok, even LinkedIn if you're looking for professional creation. You can also discover valuable information and learn and promote a business, which is what I'm doing! I'm trying to promote this business! Get a bag! Spread the word! Okay. But some of the negative pressures of social media can include a lot of pressures to be doing what other people are doing. Have you ever heard the phrase, keeping up with the Joneses? It's so interesting because back then, the Joneses were only your neighbors or people in your community groups, just people in your small groups. Now, the Joneses, you see them everywhere. You see them on social media. You can see them when walking down the street. These large apartment communities have so many people. We're just seeing so much of what other people are doing. It can give you pressure to keep up with them. It could give you pressure to want to take another trip when you don't have the funds for it. Get another wig when you just got the red wig and now you need the purple wig because Nicki Minaj got inches that are 40 inches to the floor and I gotta get that wig. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of pressure to keep up with the Joneses, and that can be burdensome on your mental. Really, really burdensome on your mental. We see this recently with the passing of Regina Kingston. She discussed with Yahoo that a lot of what he was bearing mentally was the pressure that he was receiving from outside sources. And that can be prevented. And rest in peace to him because so many people are going through that same thing. And we don't discuss it enough. And a lot of it's prompted by social media. I know this is kind of tangentially related, but if any of you track Senate or House hearings, there's a lot of Senate Judiciary hearings on this right now, kind of tracking Facebook and Instagram and the effects that it has on young girls and young boys. But yeah, there can be a lot of pressure to keep up with the Joneses. But it's not all negative, and you know I always wrap up with the moral of the story, and the only reason I made this video is to call attention into what we do and how we interact with each other and other people. We don't have to be crabs in a barrel anymore. We don't have to only root for our own success. Like I said, we all can be crying in the Phantom. We don't have to be crying in the Nissan. But more importantly, take social media breaks. If you notice yourself going down the rabbit hole, wanting things outside of you, getting into envy, bitterness, resentment, take breaks. I have to do it all the time. I just took a social media break in January. It's so helpful. It alleviates a lot of the pressure on yourself. It allows you to just be with yourself for a moment and realize what's causing all of those negative thoughts. And also just know you always have friends. Always have people you can talk to. Always have people that can be there for you. Even me, send me a DM. I love engagement. You guys only give me like 4 views a video. But anyways, never forget about the art of finesse. And thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next week.